Hey, what's up? What's up? What up? This your boy Big Man. What up to everybody out there who's standing by and want to hear a little bit more about this Tory Lanez situation, man. So it seems like the jury has finally had their opportunity to deliberate and talk about the finer details of the case. It also seems like the jury has come back with a decision. So the fate of Tory Lanez's career hangs by what the jury is going to say next or do next. So it looks like they do have a verdict, and there's people out there who have already confirmed that a verdict has come back. There's a guy by the name of Lawyer for Workers. He's taken to social media, and he's made posts where he talked about that to confirm this, and there's news stories out there. So let's actually look at that post real quick. So, my bad. Here you guys go. So you see that post right there? So this guy, Mohammed Ganget, or Lawyer for Workers, I like to say, he's been there the whole time, covering the case every step of the way, man. What up, Cincinnati? What? And it seems like the jurors have finally come down to a verdict. So everybody is standing by, waiting to see what will happen. So in this post right here, you see he said that pretty much confirmed we have a verdict announcement to come. Now, I'm guessing they're going to take as much time as possible to read the verdict and to get to the business. So it's a weird situation, man. I know everybody's torn about this. They don't know where to go about this. And it seems a little odd because you got, in one situation, you got a guy's career hanging in the wind. Then on the other situation, you have a crime that everybody's trying to get accounted for, right? I want to also, man, I want to talk about this story. Let's read this story about how they came to the verdict and how we got to this point right here, right? So there's a story that was put out there by ABC News I want to go over. And I appreciate everybody coming in here. I'm going to try to make sure that we stream it live if they show it on the local news live there in Los Angeles. But right now they just looks like they're showing the weather and things like that. They haven't got to the trial. But I'm pretty sure it's going to live stream on one of the news networks. So I'll be looking out for that as we go. But in the meantime, while we wait for this verdict to come out, let's go ahead and do this, man. Let's look at this news story right here that I want to read, man. Now, for those of you who are just getting in here, make sure you hit that like button, man. Run those likes up so that way we can make sure we get the announcement out. And when they read the verdict, hoping that we're still live, they'll make sure, well, we're going to still be live when they read the verdict, man, because it should be coming out in the next couple of hours. So definitely going to be standing by for that. It probably could come out sooner than that. We're just all standing by. So in this story right here from this news organization called the SF Gate, it says this in the headline: verdict reached at Tory Lanez Meg Thee Stallion trial. Now, a lot of people have issues with that because technically it's just the Tory Lanez trial. You know, this is his court case, to be real. And it starts off by saying this. It says jurors have reached a verdict at the trial of rapper Tory Lanez, which is charged with shooting and wounding hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion in the feet. The jury of 7 women and 5 men deliberated for about a day and a half before reaching a decision, which will be announced Friday afternoon. So talking about today, probably pretty shortly, right? Now they will give verdicts on 3 felony counts brought against the 30-year-old Canadian rapper who has pleaded not guilty, discharging a firearm with gross negligence, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and carrying a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle. The counts could lead up to 22 years in prison and deportation. So the crazy part about this is you got the gross negligence, you got the assault with the semi-automatic firearm, and you got the carrying a loaded weapon. Now, we've been all glued in on the testimony in this situation, right? Everybody's been glued in and listening to each and every detail, trying to get an understanding of where this is, right? But it looks like the potential for Tory Lanez to still be found guilty on a very serious charge is out there. Even though there were rumors yesterday that there was a verdict that already came in, that was all cap, man. It looked like somebody might have made up some paperwork, maybe even made some fake paperwork. I know rappers have accused people of doing that in the past. They were like, nah, man, they made fake paperwork on me. And sometimes we found out it was real. But in this situation, it seems like, man, the paperwork might have been really fudged. That stuff that was floating around yesterday. That's why I didn't post it at all, and I didn't put it up anywhere. But what's even crazier is the divide in this situation, because you got people on each side emotionally, and it seems like, man, there ain't no budging that. You know what I'm saying? However that they stand on this issue, they're stood on this issue, and, everybody should be, should feel a certain type of way, about what went down. So crazy, man. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for this verdict to come down, what I'm gonna be doing is, man, let's do some shout outs and watch everybody, or actually, we're actually gonna I want to show you guys something else. So there's a Rolling Stone reporter, right, by the name of Nancy Dillon. Now, Nancy Dillon has been keeping track of this court case as well. She's been there every day to report on the details that come out of the court case and to report about any discrepancies or anything that was put out in the case that wasn't correct to social media. She's a real journalist, so, what she puts out there is held to a way higher standard. She's got a whole higher standard to do things, you know what I mean? So she recently took to social media and put this out. I think she was initially the first person to let everybody know that the jury had come to a decision. And she put out these tweets right here. She says, jury request so far today at Tory Lanez trial. Oh, excuse me. Before that, she put it, after that, she said, jury at Tory Lanez trial has been notified court that they have a verdict. So they notified the court that they have a verdict. And I'm pretty sure there's a process to this. They got to holler at the judge, all of that, right? They got to. But look at this right here. So this is what she did supply. It says, in the Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, Department 132, Judge David Hereford, the people of the state of California, plaintiff versus Daystar Peterson, defendant, we the jury, in the above entitled clause, request the following. Mr. Rathen's explanation about double action, safety, and red bang. What does that say? Read back. Megan's testimony about contacting her team after she was shot. Read back. And transcript of Kelsey's September interview. Do you still want read back of the MEU's testimony? So this is what the jury was requesting, I believe, from the court before they could come up with a decision. So this right here. Also in the bottom, and this handwriting, I'm pretty sure it's all right. But once you done copied this thing over and over a couple of times, it's hard to read. So it says here in the corner, hopefully you guys can see that, no longer need Megan's testimony, only the firearm exploit, I want to say, or explanation, I want to say that is. And this was dated today at 10:11 this morning. So at 10:11 this morning, they were still looking for more information on the case before coming with their decision. So it's pretty crazy, man. Seemed like the jury was really doing some work in there trying to get to the bottom of this situation. So they came up with that paperwork right there. And I think there's another piece in here too. Oop, let's go to the other one. Now, I noticed something about this that, I'm going to leave it alone. I noticed something about this immediately, this paperwork. And this has got to be real because it's coming from somebody who works at the Rolling Stone, been covering the case. So this has got to be real. So this was already also submitted. So it's the same thing, man. Oh, Mr. Rathen's explanation about double action safety, read back, Megan's testimony. So it's the same thing. They submitted this and asked for those things from the court in order to come up with their verdict and to make a decision. And then they came back and sent this in afterwards, man, with it. Basically saying, with this note saying they no longer need Megan's testimony. Only the firearm expat, I want to say, or something like that, or explanation. So interesting, man. So they've been working, man. Whoever this jury is, it seems like they've been at work trying to come get to the bottom of what's going on in this situation, or at least come to their verdict. And hopefully they are taking it serious because, man, it's a lot going into this, man. A lot. So let's see if anybody out there who else has been following the case has made any updates or if there's any news. Now with that, man, while I'm going through and searching these things for y'all, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, and I surely appreciate it. And I'm going to do a couple shout outs in a second too, man. So right now, the local news there in LA, they don't have anything. They're not playing anything right now. But that's not to say that later on they won't be playing it live. So if they live stream it, I'm definitely going to be watching, standing by as they read the verdict. So we'll see. We will see. AZ King, what's up, man? Appreciate my mods in there handling business. I see you, man. Let's see. Okay. All right. So as I said, the jury has the verdict. They're just probably waiting to read it to the court. And everybody is standing by to find out what this was. Now, what's even crazier, what I noticed about this case is it's heavily watched by the hip hop community. Like the whole hip hop community is watching this case for each and every update, man. It's like one of the biggest cases going, obviously, if not the biggest case going. Definitely the biggest case in Tory Lanez life. So let's see. So somebody said found guilty on all counts. I see y'all in the in the chat. How do y'all know that in the news don't know that? Man, stop. Let's see. If that happens, that would be crazy, man. That would be crazy. Let's see. Because that would mean basically Tory Lanez's career would be over. And then after he does his prison time, he'd have to get deported. That's really crazy. Let's see. Nothing yet. We're still standing by for the verdict. And looking at the local news in LA, nothing yet, man. Nothing yet. Everybody is just standing by, waiting for something. And what we can do is look at some of the posts from the lawyer who's been covering this recently, just to level set everybody and get them caught up. So let's do that.
The case has been submitted to the jury. The judge sent the jury on their way. He explained to them how this works. He told them when you go in the room, please elect a foreperson. Typically, in my experience, what I've seen after the foreperson is elected, they do an initial vote just to kind of test the waters and see where everybody's at. The judge explained to them that they are not to consult any outside sources, do any independent investigation. All deliberations must be done within the confines of the jury room. All deliberations must be done when everyone is together. You cannot deliberate separate and apart. Today, deliberations will continue until about 4 or 4:30 p.m., at which point the jury will have the option to decide, do they want to continue deliberating tomorrow, or in light of the Christmas holiday, do they want to take tomorrow off, Monday off, and come back on Tuesday to deliberate? We will see if we get a verdict by 4 or 4:30.
Whoa, man. I'm getting news. People are hitting me up saying he was found guilty on all counts. That's what people are saying, man. That is what I am seeing. So let's do some research. Because if that's so, Tory Lanez is done, man. Let's see. Y'all stand by, because that is what's trending right now. A lot of people are saying he was found guilty on all counts. Let's see, man. I haven't seen anything official yet, but man, that is what's trending right now. That's crazy, man. I don't know if that's wild, yo. That is wild. I see it all over social media. Like they're saying guilty, but I don't see any official news saying that. So I would take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I would take that as nothing so far. Yeah, I see somebody else say Tory Lanez has been found guilty of all 3 charges in the Meg Thee Stallion shooting case. Guilty of shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the foot, jury finds. Yep, and Nancy Dillon, it's official, man. Tory Lanez found guilty on all 3 counts. You heard it here first. Crazy, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Wow. That's wild. I didn't expect that to happen. I don't think anybody saw that happening. So let's do this, man. Let's do some looking and see if anybody's reacting to this. But 100% for sure, yeah, that Tory Lanez guilty on all counts. That's crazy. What do y'all think about that, man? Let's go to the... the local news there in LA isn't saying anything so far, but yeah, man, Tory Lanez, that's what they're reporting, man. And that's where the reporter from Rolling Stone is saying as well. She's saying that Tory Lanez is found guilty on all counts. Man, yo, Tory Lanez is done, G. That's, yeah, man. So, yeah, he gonna have to start working on his appeal now, bro. Like, yeah, that's it, man. Yeah. Let me bring this down. Yep, it looks like guilty, man. That's what a lot of people are saying. Yep, Tory Lanez guilty on all 3 counts. Let me bring this up for you guys to see. Now, this lady right here, Nancy Dillon, she actually works for the Rolling Stone. You know what I mean? And she would have no reason to lie. So as you guys can see right there, Tory Lanez is done. All right. He's going to have to do 22 years and get deported back to Canada. That is crazy, bro. Boom. There you go. There you go. You guys see that? I see everybody in the chat. Y'all shocked like me. I'm like, whoa. I ain't think he'd be guilty on all 3 counts. But they said, yeah, all 3 counts, he's guilty. And this is crazy, man. So, let's see what they talking about on social media, man. Daystar's trending. I see that, man. I see all that. So, yeah. So, as of now, that is the report. That's it. Tory Lanez found guilty on all 3 accounts. That's from official news sources. People who's officially in the news game, man. So, let's hear what this guy has to say. This guy, lawyer for workers. He's reporting live from the trial.
Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff. Verdict is in. Guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff.
That's crazy. Yo. Y'all keep it real, man. Did y'all see that coming? Guilty on all counts, all 3 counts. Now, I'm neither here nor there. I'm not rooting for Tory. I'm not rooting for Megan. I hope that, I hope the best for Megan Thee Stallion. You know what I mean? But, what? Did y'all see this coming, man? And just for those of y'all who are just getting here, make sure y'all run up that like button, man. Let's go. We hurting on the likes. Hit that like button. Let's get up to 200, 300 or something, man.
Verdict is in. Guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff. Verdict is in. Guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood.
And I know I'm keeping that on a loop, but man, I wanted y'all to get the whole understanding of what went down. So according to this attorney here, Tory Lanez was given a guilty verdict on all 3 counts. All 3 counts. He's looking at a possible 22 years in jail. Sentencing is going to come in January. With that, Tory Lanez, also his dad was in the court, and Tory Lanez was pretty much, they said he was like almost wanting to pass out. He was looking like, what in the world? And his dad actually had an outburst in the courtroom, like went wild and said something and got kicked out of the courtroom and was asked to remove himself. Then on top of that, another guy pulled out his phone and started recording Tory Lanez's dad going off, and that guy is in front of the judge right now, man. This is wild, man. What makes it wild is I know this is not what people thought was gonna happen, man. So let's I'm gonna play this again, man, and run that back.
Motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff.
This is crazy, bruh. Wow, man. That's crazy, man. Hopefully he gets something. He can get his appeal together right now. I mean, we'll see how this plays out. I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of people who are going crazy about this on social media, you know. Either way, you know, like I said, I am not choosing any sides. I'm not picking any sides, but there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tory Lanez found guilty on all 3 charges. So he faces 22 years in jail and deportation for these crimes, or for the crimes that he's been found guilty for. You know what I'm saying? So this is, wow, talk about a shocker. I mean, after all the talk on social media and all the back and forth, a lot of people knew he was probably going to get one of the charges, maybe 2, because, you know, the one neighbor said that he was recklessly handling a firearm. He testified to that, and that he actually had the firearm in his possession. But for him not to have his DNA on the firearm, or it being inconclusive, right? And then for all the different stories that, you know, were different than each other's in this situation, I didn't think he'd get guilty of all 3 charges. That is wild, man. Tory Lanez, bruh. That's a delay, bruh, right? Yo, down, man. Down bad. You know what I mean? Down super bad, man. Yeah, then he gets deported.
Verdict is in, guilty on...
That's crazy, man.
Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff. Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He's...
Okay, man, enough of playing that, man. Wow. That came as a shock right there. Yeah, that is wild. And I see a lot of you are saying this is a good thing because it's justice for Meg. You have, yeah, man. Nothing wrong with saying that. You know what I mean? I'm neither way, man. I'll say that much. It just comes as a surprise because of all the talk around this trial and around the case that we've seen. It just seems like, man, Tory Lanez found guilty on all 3 charges, and that's where it's left at, man. And that was live, man. That was live. So this is crazy. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Is this that crazy? Or is it just a possibility that, you know, the jurors, they did their due diligence and that's what they came back with? So just to talk about the jury a little bit, if you guys want to, the jury who convicted Tory Lanez, they went into deliberation yesterday and they needed the extra day. They also asked for additional information in the case all the way up until this point to finding Tory Lanez guilty. So the jury is itself made up, what does it say, of 7 women and 5 men. So the jury of 7 women and 5 men deliberated for 1 day before convicting the 30-year-old Canadian rapper, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. The counts could lead up to 22 years in prison. So no matter how you chop it up, Tory Lanez's career is over. Like, there ain't no other way around that. Even in appeal, trying to fight in an appeal case and doing all that, his career is over. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's done. That's crazy, bro. You know what I mean? Yo, I see y'all in the comments. Yo, y'all do me a favor. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Run them likes up, hit that like button. Let's go. I want to see some of the commentary on social media about this, man. Who else is commenting on this? And I know a lot of stars, they're going to have to tread lightly about this because it's a sensitive issue, man. You know? But they felt without a reasonable doubt that Tory Lanez is guilty. And that is the decision that they came down with. Interesting to say the least, man. Interesting to say the least, man. It's never a dull day in hip hop, man. You know what I'm saying? It's always a surprise. What's up, yo? Yeah, I see everybody. I see y'all. And I know everybody's like trying to figure out how we came to this conclusion after all that talk this week, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You don't have any control. It's always in the hands of the jury. They said, so right now, Tory, look at God. Yo, so people who were getting trolled yesterday, they trolling today. That's for real. That's 100% facts. When you won the prison talent show last year, funny, man. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave these memes alone. But yeah, so far, that is what's out there about this situation. You know what I mean? And it seems like that puts an end to this chapter. I mean, obviously, Tory Lanez is going to have to go through his legal situation, and that's going to be a long, hard fight. And I'm pretty sure that, when it comes to his future, it's unsure. But as far as this situation is concerned, this is going to end this chapter. Nobody will have to wonder anymore. I see some of y'all already saying free Tory. The crazy part is they said that they arrested him immediately, handcuffed him. Remember, he was released on house arrest due to the fact that the trial was coming up. So he was driving in every day, with his son and his family, his father being one of them. And they said that his father tripped out. He had to be escorted out of the courthouse. So this is crazy, man. Yeah, this is breaking news. This is breaking news like no other. Y'all said free to blame. Yeah, I don't think anybody's rooting for Tory Lanez. We just covering the news, bro. We just covering it to see what everybody came back with and to see what the eventually what the jury would say, So that's it. But for those of you who are just showing up here,
verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken.
Y'all hear this, right? I want to make sure y'all are hearing this. Let me go ahead. Maybe y'all want to see it too. So.
Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless. Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff. Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time.
Okay, man, I know I've played that enough. I know some of y'all are like, man, what in the world? Some of you just came in here, I can see. So y'all like, man, this is crazy. But yeah, man, all the reports, everything that's out there is correct. Tory Lanez found guilty on all counts.
Verdict is
and it's
in
looking
guilty.
like it's going to be a hard legal struggle for Tory Lanez in the future, especially if he has any. Man, to be honest, like his music career is over. Let's keep it real, man. You know what I mean? Tory Lanez is already 30 years old. Yeah, man. Now he goes in for sentencing next month. So in January, there's going to be a sentencing hearing. So we'll see exactly the sentence that he gets, man, or what comes out of sentencing. But what's crazy is how this is taking over social media. And you can tell, man, a lot of people are shocked out there. And I see y'all in the chat. Some of y'all aren't that shocked. But, man, with all the bickering back and forth on social media, I thought maybe 1-2 counts he'll be guilty of, but not all 3. That boy Tory Lanez is done, bruh. Yo, shout out to everybody who already hit that like button, man. You know you the real MVP. And everybody who just getting in here or been here, yo, go ahead and hit that like button, man. Run them likes up. And we're going to see all the reactions on social media. See what other people are saying about this situation. You know what I mean? Because I know they can't be the only person who's talking about this, because there's several people who are in the courtroom. So there's another guy.
Tory got.
Okay, let's play this. This guy, he's been doing some updates as well. I want to play you guys this guy. He's been also talking about the case as well. So let's see.
We just got out. Tory got found guilty on not 1, but all 3 counts. And then not just that, but the father had an outburst. His wife also had an outburst. The courtroom was a bit chaotic. They struggled to get them under control, and it was just a mess. We just got out. Tory got found guilty on not 1, but all 3 counts. And then not just that, but the father had an outburst. His wife also had an outburst. The courtroom was a bit chaotic. They struggled to get them under control, and it was just a mess. We just got out.
So you heard from him right there. He also said, because he's been following the case as well, he's been in court every day. He said that there was a wild struggle at the end after they announced the guilty verdict, and that Tory Lanez's dad had an outburst and his mom was actually erratic as well. So there was like a lot going on. It was just pretty much a mess. Somebody else in the courtroom was trying to video everything, like on his phone or something like that. And he was brought before the judge. I guess the judge wasn't playing that, was like, I know you're not trying to get a viral moment off of all this, and brought him in. I don't know if that guy's going to be brought in for any type of charges, in this courthouse. I mean, in this case, or if the judge is going to bring him, put him in jail or anything like that. But based on what everybody says, when the verdict came down, it was a total mess. It was anarchy in the courthouse, man. This is crazy, man. And for those of you just show, here we go. Let's play it again.
Tory got found guilty on not 1, but all 3 counts. And then not just that, but the father had an outburst. His wife also had an outburst. The courtroom was a bit chaotic. They struggled to get them under control, and it was just a mess. We just got out. Tory got found guilty.
You heard that. They struggled to get them out of the courtroom, man. They struggled to get them out.
On not 1, but all 3 counts. And then not just that, but the father had an outburst. His wife also had an outburst. The courtroom was a bit chaotic. They struggled to get them under control, and it was just a mess.
Man, so it was going crazy up in there, man. It was going wild up in there. It wasn't just any normal verdict where somebody reads the verdict and people are signing and things like that, right? After they read the verdict, they said there was outbursts all over the place. Tory Lanez's dad, they had to try to get him, under control. His mom, they tried to get her under control and then moved him out of the courtroom. Then another guy brought out a camera, and you're going to hear about that right here, man.
Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now.
Y'all heard this? This was chaos, man. This was chaos at the end of the trial, man. You had one guy who was who was trying to record Tory Lanez dad going off, and his mom, I guess, trying to restrain him. The sheriffs had to take him out of the courthouse, and then this guy was trying to record it with his phone, some guy, and the judge actually had him pulled to the side, and the judge was going to talk to him. He could be facing some kind of, I don't know what's illegal about that, because I thought these proceedings are public, for the public, but maybe it was a closed case and he wasn't supposed to be recording.
The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court, guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles Sheriff. Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court, guilty on all 3 counts.
Nothing more else to say, bruh. Wrong one, my bad.
Oh my God.
Whew. 22 years? So Tory Lanez about to do 22 years, man. And man, I'm a miss quarantine radio, you know what I'm saying? And he was a heck of an artist, but man, he's already been remanded, meaning he's been handcuffed. They're going to start getting everything ready to transport him so he can stand by for sentencing, man. And he gets sentenced next month. So when he gets sentenced next month, we'll know exactly how much time he's going to have to do in a California state jail before getting deported. So he's facing deportation and 22 years in jail for being found guilty on all 3 counts.
Bruh.
Craziness, man. And the craziest part is what took place in court after the verdict was read. They said his dad was going wild in the courtroom. His mom was trying to restrain him and going crazy too. Then they had to have the sheriffs take his dad out, and he eventually left the courthouse. And then Tory Lanez just stood there looking blank at the judge. They said the whole time he stood there looking blank at the judge. All while another guy is in the courtroom. I guess he's one of the people spectating, and he's not supposed to bring out his camera, I'm assuming. He pulls out his camera phone, starts to record the whole melee between Tory Lanez's dad, his mom, and the sheriff's deputies. And he gets pulled to the side by the judge. And the judge is like, yo, man, I need to talk to you. So this was complete chaos at the end of this guilty verdict being read. Wow. This is insane, man. This is wild, man.
Bruh.
You know that, in hip hop, it's always something, man. It is always something. And this is one of those times where a lot of the people who were, who probably already thought they had an idea of what was going to happen, really, really got an understanding of, man, that the legal system is out of your control as a spectator. It's between the judge, the jury, and the person who's being accused or the person who's presenting the case. So it's a wild one, man. This is a wild one. Y'all think how much time y'all think Tory's gonna get? For real, man. Y'all think he's gonna do 10? I see somebody say 10. Somebody said he's gonna do 10. This is crazy, man. The fact that everybody was going crazy at the end, and TV cameras are probably in there, man. I'm surprised. Let me check and see if the local news had something to say or report on this. I'm surprised they weren't streaming live from within the courthouse, like the local news there in Los Angeles. But maybe it's a situation where they felt like, they couldn't. Or maybe the judge had put the squeeze on it. I know he put the squeeze on communications as far as Tory Lanez is concerned, but I would expect that the cameras would be in there when the jury read the verdict, similar to what happened in other big cases like this. You know what I mean? So it looks like, yep. I'm looking at different things on social media, and nobody has really given an opinion besides, just a shock that he was found guilty on all 3 counts. But it looks like, man, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Happy for Meg is trending. You know what I mean? Tory is trending. All right, so here is more of this story. So this Rolling Stone reporter gives a write-up of exactly what went down. So let's read this a little bit, right? Hopefully you guys can see that, right? Straight from Twitter. So it says, absolute pandemonium erupted in the courtroom shortly before Tory Lanez was led away in handcuffs. In quotes, it says, this wicked system, Tory's dad, son star Peterson, yelled as he jumped up from the first row. In quotes, it says, you two, you are wicked, you are evil. He shouted at the prosecutors before he was led out. So that's Tory Lanez's dad was shouting that. The wicked system. You two, you are wicked. You are evil. He was shouting those things before being led out by sheriff's deputies. Now, Tory Lanez's 6-year-old son started crying in the front row after his grandfather was ushered out. Tory was looking at the child and patted his chest to reassure him. So it says that he looked at his kid, patted his chest to reassure his son, and then that's when he got handcuffed and went to, I guess, the start of being processed in. So that way he can wait for his sentencing. And then after that, after waiting for his sentencing, getting his sentence, doing his time in prison. Craziness today.
Bruh.
This is crazy, man. Absolute pandemonium erupted in the court, as said right here by this Rolling Stone reporter right here, man.
Oh my God.
Whew, this is crazy, man. Oh, y'all do me a favor, man. Get them likes up. Hit that like button. Hit that like button, man. We hurting. Let's get them up. Let's get them up. Let's get them up. Let's get them up. So they said it was just a complete mess in the courtroom afterwards, man. This is crazy. This is wild. I know this is what a lot of people thought was going to happen, but this is the reality of the justice system. If you have no control over it as a fan. As much as you think we know or we believe we know, the jury came down with this decision, and it is what it is, man. We're going to have to live for it and live with it. And what Tory Lanez does going forward in the future, I don't know. It just is he over? Yeah, somebody said it. Everybody's at a loss for words because I was like, okay, 1 count. Okay, I could get that because somebody did say they saw him shooting a gun wild in the air or whatever, right? But all 3 counts, looking at 22 years, man, he is done, bruh. There ain't no more rap game for him. Somebody said man. All right, so let's read again what Tory Lanez's dad was saying in court. He yelled out, in quotes, this wicked system. Now, this is son star Peterson. Daystar Peterson being Tory Lanez. That's his son, right? He said, this wicked system. You two, you are wicked, you are evil. He shouted at the prosecutors before he was led out, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy. That's crazy. He said Tory's 6-year-old son started crying in the front row after his grandfather was ushered out. Tory was looking at the child and patted his chest to reassure him. So basically looked at his son and said, hey, man, we got this. Patted his chest, got his handcuffs put on him, and then went about his way. Yeah, this is crazy. Even other trials didn't end as wild as this one has ended. You know what I'm saying? Like where there was anybody going, you know what I'm saying? Where anybody was going off on the judge in the court. His dad had to get ushered out. This is a one-of-one. So let's listen to this dude's story.
We just got out. Tory got found guilty on not one, but all 3 counts. And then not just that, but the father had an outburst. His wife also had an outburst. The courtroom was a bit chaotic. They struggled to get them under control, and it was just a mess. We just got out. Tory got found guilty on not one, but all 3 counts. And then not just that, but the father had an outburst. His wife also had an outburst. The courtroom was a bit chaotic. They struggled to get them under control, and it was just a mess. We just got out.
You heard that right there.
Verdict is in, guilty on all counts. Tory.
This is wild, man. This is wild, man. Like I said, you could never guess with hip hop what's going to happen next, man. It's always something crazy.
He did not react. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact.
Y'all go ahead and get them likes up, man. Let's go.
Guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now.
I wonder what happened to the guy who brought his phone out, man. Did he get any type of charges or anything like that for trying to get a viral moment?
The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff.
Done deal, man. There ain't nothing else to talk about, man. Like, yeah, man. Tory Lanez is he's about to go through a rough time. But there, ladies and gentlemen, if you're showing up
guilty on all.
If you're showing up late and trying to understand what happened, Tory Lanez was found guilty on all 3 charges that were levied against him, and he's been remanded. He's going to stand by and be processed in as an inmate, and then eventually brought in for his sentencing in January, and then eventually probably do his sentence in prison. From then on, he'll probably have to fight this on appeal if he wants to continue that route. But right now, that seems the end of Tory Lanez's story. As far as him being a rapper and in the rap game, it's a done deal. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to look in the chat a little bit, and his son watched. Yeah, they said his son was in the courtroom. He saw the whole thing, but he looked to his son. He took that moment as a father, looked at his son, and gave him reassurance, tapped his chest, and gave him reassurance to say, hey, man, we got this. At least let him out for credit. Nah, that ain't happening, bro. It's like once you found guilty in these situations, it's a done deal, man. I'd like to hear. They usually do an interview, so they're gonna probably do an interview and talk about how they came up with the decision that they came up with. Usually jurors, they go on to write books, talk about different things. This trial has been strictly focused inside the hip hop community, have been the majority of the people who have, been watching this situation play out. But I think, as the interest starts to grow and as people become more interested in especially how this ended up, a lot of people are going to be asking answers why. But, currently right now, the jury felt like they had enough to bring him to come with a guilty verdict. I see a lot of y'all upset. I see you can't take these things personal, especially me doing media. I got to make sure that I weigh the ends and the odds and make sure that I stay in the middle so I'm not being biased. There's plenty of people who are happy for Meg, you know what I'm saying? And Meg, I believe her and her team, they probably feel like they got justice. So it is what it is, man. Now, can you feel messed up? Or if you're a Tory Lanez fan, feel bad about this? You have every right to, bruh. And if you feel like he got a raw deal, go ahead and make sure you voice your opinion as well. But that is the decision that the court came down with. It's a crazy situation. And the way that it played out in court sounded crazy too, man. Where they say his dad was wilding out on the judge and the court, and the sheriff had to drag him out. Then his mom started wilding out. They had to drag her out too. Then Tory Lanez gets handcuffs, has to go back, and some guy tries to take this video in 4K of the whole thing and gets caught by the judge. I don't know if he's going to get any charges, but we'll see later, man. Now, I don't want to run this in circles. What I do ask is that everybody in here right now, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace. Oh, yeah. And make sure you got your notifications turned on for every time I go live. This ain't my regular weekend show. This is a live just strictly for the Tory Lanez verdict. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to talk about the verdict in the case. And, I'll do my regular weekend live this weekend. And we'll talk about everything, everything going on. Now, with that, like I said, we out of here. Oh, yeah, shout out my mods. Shout out the chat. We out of here. Peace.